A mining disaster tears open a colossal cavern beneath the Philippines. Monarch investigators arrive, sensing this collapse hides something impossible. Serizawa meets Boyd, who warns the mine is a total disaster. They learn strange radiation, not valuable ore, drew miners here. The team descends toward the collapse where dozens vanish below. Below, the valley has dropped into an enormous hidden chamber. Radiation keeps climbing, as if the buried cavern is waking. Serizawa leads them deeper, following traces no miner can explain. Inside, the evidence quickly stops looking like ordinary geology. Graham realizes these remains belong to something impossibly ancient. Their lights reveal bones far too massive for known animals. A gigantic fossilized skeleton stretches silently across the black cavern. Then the team spots something stranger beside the ancient corpse. One spore remains intact, but another has already hatched. Serizawa traces the damage upward. Something clearly escaped alive. A gigantic trail cuts through the jungle straight toward the sea. Whatever hatched has vanished into the ocean, leaving only questions. Far away in Janjira, Japan, that mystery soon comes calling. Young Ford enjoys a normal morning, unaware danger is approaching. His parents, Joe and Sandra, already sense something is wrong. Ford watches quietly while Joe studies the strange seismic readings. Joe's concern grows as the pattern mirrors the Philippine disturbance. He pushes plant managers for answers before the readings worsen. Sandra hears his warning, though Joe fears nobody will listen. Still, Sandra gently teases him, cutting through the morning tension. They send Ford to school, keeping the danger from him. Joe asks Sandra to inspect level 5 once they arrive. Sandra agrees, trusting his instincts despite the increasingly odd readings. A birthday kiss briefly makes the morning feel almost normal. Then they reach Janjira's nuclear plant, where normal ends fast. Joe checks the plant data and finds the pattern climbing. He carries the warning inside, demanding someone take it seriously. Meanwhile, Sandra's inspection team heads down toward the reactor levels. In control, fresh readings confirm this is no ordinary earthquake. The pulses are steady and increasing, exactly what Joe feared. Only Janjira is affected, putting the plant at the center. Joe realizes the source must be close and orders shut down. Before anyone can relax, the signal suddenly surges beyond predictions. Deep below, Sandra's team feels the facility begin to fail. Joe calls her urgently, knowing the containment system is breaking. Alarms explode through the plant as the breach becomes unstoppable. Workers sprint for safety while Joe races towards Sandra's checkpoint. He reaches the blast door, refusing to seal it early. Over the radio, Joe begs Sandra to run even faster. Sandra's team races back as the danger closes behind them. Joe holds the safety door manually, buying them precious seconds. Yet Sandra is still trapped deep inside the failing corridor. Her voice reaches Joe, and both understand the brutal truth. Joe keeps pleading anyway, desperate to somehow pull her home. At last Sandra appears behind the window, heartbreakingly too late. Joe stands frozen as the countdown leaves him no choice. Sandra tells him to live and care for Ford. Through the glass, she accepts what Joe cannot bear. Their final goodbye lands just as the breach closes in. Joe seals the door, leaving Sandra on the fatal side. Across town, young Ford sits in class completely unaware. Then a massive blast rises outside, turning childhood into disaster. Janjira's plant collapses, and the old mystery deepens with it. 15 years pass, but that morning never truly leaves Ford. Now a Navy bomb technician, Ford finally returns home. A fellow soldier reminds him family life can feel unfamiliar. Back home, Ford reunites with Elle and their son Sam. Their goofy welcome home celebration finally gives him something peaceful. That night, Sam clings to his father, afraid he'll leave. Ford promises tomorrow, trying to settle back into home. With Sam asleep, Ford finally has Elle to himself. Her laugh reminds him how much 14 months have cost. The couple reconnects, enjoying a rare moment without duty. Their reunion gets warmer until a phone call ruins everything. Elle answers reluctantly, expecting work, but here's Japan instead. The consulate says Joe was arrested inside Janjira's quarantine zone. Just like that, Ford's peaceful homecoming starts falling apart. He packs for Japan, irritated by his father's latest obsession. Ford dismisses Joe's theories as another trip into old grief. Elle reminds him Joe lost everything too, including Sandra. Ford admits every reunion with Joe drags him backward. Still, Elle urges him to help before resentment wins. They embrace, trusting this will only take a few days. Ford reaches Tokyo, chasing a family problem he never wanted. At the station, he waits to collect his arrested father. Seeing Joe behind glass, Ford feels 15 years rush back. His father is older, but the obsession clearly survived. Back at Joe's cramped apartment, silence hangs between them. Joe tries small talk, awkwardly reaching toward his son. Every wall reveals years spent chasing Janjira's hidden truth. Ford sees the obsession that swallowed what remained of Joe. Joe asks about Elle and Sam, barely knowing his grandson. But Ford notices books on echolocation and strange communication patterns. The strange research confirms Joe never stopped investigating Janjira. Ford demands to know why he entered the Forbidden Zone. Joe insists those old readings have started appearing again. He says they're abandoned households data that can prove it. Ford has heard this before and refuses to be dragged back. Yet Joe's grief keeps pressing through every angry explanation. Sandra's death still fills the room, despite all those years. Joe says she is still out there, waiting for truth. As night falls, Ford sees how completely guilt consumed him. Ford sleeps, hoping morning will finally end this argument. Instead, Joe checks new signals and prepares another secret trip. He gathers equipment, determined to cross the quarantine zone again. Ford catches him packing and realizes Joe plans to return. He refuses at first, calling the mission another dangerous obsession. Joe explains offshore monitors recently recorded the old signal again. Whatever hides near the reactor seems to be signaling again. He needs the discs from home to prove he's sane. Joe vows to uncover the truth, whatever the personal cost. Ford begs him to let Sandra finally rest in peace. Joe answers painfully, he was the one who sent her down. That guilt breaks Ford's resistance, and he agrees to help. Before dawn, father and son slip through Jangira's perimeter fence. The warning signs promise deadly radiation, but Joe keeps moving. Inside, the evacuated city stands frozen like a forgotten graveyard. Stray dogs suddenly flee, suggesting the zone is hardly dead. Then Joe's meter shows the impossible. Radiation is almost zero. He tears off his mask, convinced the official story was false. Even insects thrive here, mocking the supposedly radioactive wasteland. Ford can no longer dismiss Joe's suspicions as simple paranoia. They push toward their old home, where memories wait untouched. Inside, Joe searches frantically for the data he buried. Ford digs through the wreckage, helping despite years of resistance. Small family remnants turn the mission painfully personal again. Old birthday decorations still hang inside the ruined house. Joe freezes among those memories, but keeps searching for truth. Outside, security vehicles close in before they can escape. Joe and Ford are caught, the recovered evidence still with them. Captured at last, Joe and Ford are driven inside Jangira's secret. Armed guards take them deeper while Joe keeps demanding answers. Instead of jail, their transport heads toward the ruined reactor. Behind sealed walls, scientists have been studying something impossibly huge. Joe sees the truth. Jangira was never truly abandoned. The disaster site became a laboratory wrapped around a creature. Above them hangs the cocoon, still pulsing with stolen radiation. Then the monitors repeat Joe's pattern, making his warning real. That familiar signal means the sleeping creature is waking again. Serizawa finally pays attention as technicians verify Joe's data. 15 years of obsession suddenly answer Joe from these screens. He insists those pulses are a call, not meaningless noise. Ford watches officials doubt him while the readings keep climbing. Graham checks the evidence and finds the same impossible pattern. Joe's obsession no longer sounds crazy, now it sounds prophetic. Serizawa realizes Janjira's secret may be moments from breaking free. All recordings now match tonight's rapidly accelerating signal almost perfectly. Joe warns them this mirrors the disaster that killed Sandra. Even the scientists now have no comforting explanation left. Joe urges them to shut everything down before history repeats. Serizawa believes him, and the room suddenly springs into action. Unfortunately, the cocoon has already started tearing itself apart. Joe's dusty research becomes the emergency guide nobody wanted. Graham watches the signal spike while panic spreads through Janjira. Joe stares through the glass as his nightmare finally surfaces. Emergency teams move in, but the creature is already stronger. Alarms howl through Janjira, turning secrecy into instant chaos. The Muto tears free, making one unforgettable entrance into chaos. Inside control, every careful plan begins collapsing with the walls. Its towering body crushes heavy steel like brittle breakfast cereal. Technicians can only stare as every safeguard fails at once. The winged Muto unfolds, making the word containment rather optimistic. Outside, soldiers discover their rifles are mostly decorative accessories. Cables snap and towers bend as the creature forces upward. Then the Muto climbs into darkness, enormous, hungry, and free. Its electromagnetic pulse kills the power and blinds the facility. Dead consoles confirm the obvious, their whole system just flatlined. In total darkness, the Muto turns Janjira into a launchpad. Backup screens flicker, but nothing can stop what escaped. Below, Ford and Joe are trapped as structures collapse around them. Emergency crews push through darkness while debris keeps falling everywhere. Soldiers race toward wreckage as steel towers buckle around them. A collapsing crane swings overhead, making rescue even more dangerous. Ford spots Joe beneath the failing structure and rushes toward him. Metal and concrete crash down, burying the platform under debris. Ford fights through the blast, refusing to abandon his father. He finds Joe alive, but critically injured beneath the wreckage. Rescuers converge while the Muto disappears into the night sky. They pull Joe free, with Ford refusing to leave him. Joe barely moves, and Ford's relief vanishes almost immediately. By dawn, the Muto is gone, leaving Janjira shattered behind. Back home, Elle hears troubling news and keeps calling. Sam watches quietly while his mother desperately tries reaching for it. With no answer, Elle pulls Sam close and waits. At Janjira, rescue crews search through the creature's terrible aftermath. They find Joe gravely injured, turning Ford's relief painfully bitter. Serizawa joins the military response while casualties are carried away. Ford refuses to leave while his father is still breathing. Joe is rushed aboard, barely conscious after the catastrophic collapse. A helicopter carries father and son away from ruined Janjira. The wreckage shrinks below, while Joe's condition keeps getting worse. Inside, Joe struggles to breathe as Ford stays beside him. Ford begs him to hold on, finally dropping every barrier. But the truth Joe chased has already demanded a brutal price. Joe dies during evacuation, leaving Ford with grief and answers. Soon afterward, Ford is taken aboard the USS Saratoga. There, the Navy turns Janjira's disaster into a global hunt. Admiral Stens directs the search before public panic can spread. Every screen tracks the escaped Muto moving across the Pacific. Ford is questioned because Joe understood something Monarch had missed. Stens wants facts, Serizawa wants whatever Joe discovered about signals. Outside, the fleet races after a target already slipping away. Still grieving, Ford is escorted into a classified briefing room. He wants home, but they first need Joe's final clues. Graham and Serizawa finally explain what had been hidden at Janjira. The briefing begins with maps connecting the Muto to radiation. Then the projector rolls, uncovering decades of carefully buried history. Ford listens as his father's conspiracy becomes official scientific fact. Graham explains that these creatures survive by consuming nuclear energy. Janjira's reactor was not destroyed, it became the Muto's pantry. Old footage proves Monarch studied giant creatures long before Janjira. This secret began decades before Joe ever sounded the alarm. Serizawa reveals an ancient predator awakened during humanity's nuclear age. That ancient giant is Godzilla, a completely different creature. Ford realizes Janjira's escape may have stirred something even larger. He asks why the Muto kept sending those strange pulses. Joe's note suggests the signal was never meaningless background noise. Graham admits the pulses may be communication, not simple alarms. Ford remembers Joe's warning that something out there was listening. Now that possibility feels more frightening than any military briefing. If the Muto called, another giant creature could be answering. Serizawa quietly confirms that possibility is exactly what worries them. Their hunt is suddenly about far more than one Muto. It is about whatever might answer nature's monstrous phone call. Ford finally leaves the briefing while the fleet keeps mobilizing. Still grieving, he takes the fastest available route back home. Across the ocean, Hull continues waiting beside their sleeping son. Ford finally calls, his voice carrying the weight of loss. He tells Elle he is coming home as soon as possible. Afterward, Joe's memory reminds Ford exactly what he has lost. Meanwhile, Monarch tracks the MUTO signal racing across the Pacific. The trail reaches Honolulu, where Ford is changing flights. At the airport, he waits among travelers unaware of danger. Nearby, a frightened young boy is suddenly left alone. Ford notices him, and his protective instincts immediately take over. The boy calms slightly as Ford stays close beside him. For one quiet moment, home finally seems almost within reach. But Stenz's forces have tracked the Muto straight toward Hawaii. Radar narrows the search as its signal suddenly moves inland. A missing Russian submarine appears impossibly stranded inside the jungle. Search teams move through darkness toward the stolen submarine. The forest falls silent, which is terrible monster movie etiquette. Soldiers advance carefully, following a trail of destruction through trees. Something enormous dragged that submarine inland for one specific reason. Its hull lies torn open, exposing dangerous nuclear material. Above it, the winged Muto is already feeding on warheads. Stenz realizes Hawaii is not a stop, it is dinner. Serizawa and Graham connect the attack directly to radiation hunger. Ford continues through the airport, still focused only on home. Outside, military helicopters race over resorts toward the jungle. Tourists look upward as paradise gets some deeply unfriendly traffic. The hunt intensifies overhead, while civilians still understand almost nothing. Ford's airport train keeps moving beneath the growing military response. Pilots sweep the darkness, searching for a creature built to vanish. Then the Muto shifts nearby, revealing just how close it is. The military finally spots the Muto, but their advantage lasts seconds. Their first strike erupts violently, and the creature barely notices. Ford watches the blackout spread as Hawaii becomes a battlefield. Across Honolulu, tourists stare upward while the distant fighting intensifies. Then the ocean retreats, turning simple curiosity into creeping dread. People approach the empty shore, ignoring nature's enormous warning sign. Above them, military pilots keep blindly hunting their impossible target. Ford scans the darkness, keeping young Akio close beside him. Far offshore, another gigantic shape begins breaking the ocean surface. The fleet suddenly realizes it is sitting in Godzilla's path. Sailors stare overboard as the sea rises around something enormous. Back on Waikiki, the warning arrives moments before the water. The surge crashes inland, sending terrified tourists racing through streets. Glass walls surrender, turning restaurants into instant indoor swimming pools. Survivors scramble higher while floodwater swallows everything beneath them. Then the power dies, leaving Honolulu listening to giant footsteps. Red tracer fire briefly reveals Godzilla moving through the darkness. The military keeps firing, because apparently subtlety has already retired. Godzilla marches onward, completely unimpressed by their conventional weapons. Nearby troops brace as another monster closes on the airport. Akio looks toward Ford as fear replaces his earlier curiosity. Power flickers back, revealing the Muto waiting directly ahead. That tiny relief vanishes when the creature reaches the tracks. Ford grabs Akio as the tram is violently torn apart. He holds the boy tightly while chaos tears past them. Floodwater reaches the runway, but the battle refuses to slow. Attack crews keep firing, drawing the Muto deeper into airport. Then one crashing aircraft ignites a spectacular chain of explosions. The flames finally reveal Godzilla, arriving like a walking skyscraper. His roar answers the Muto, giving Honolulu terrifying front row seats. Back home, Sam sleeps while monsters quietly reshape his future. Television footage finally exposes Honolulu's nightmare to the entire country. The secret is over. Giant monsters are officially breaking news. Elle watches in horror, knowing Ford was somewhere inside it. Morning brings evacuation tents, survivors, and the city counting losses. Ford pushes through the crowd, still making sure Akio is safe. Even exhausted, he remains focused on returning the boy home. Akio finally reaches his parents, giving Ford one small victory. With that finished, the military finds Ford before he disappears. His Navy expertise makes him useful, whether he likes it. Meanwhile, Godzilla swims east while the fleet cautiously trails behind. His course points toward California, exactly where Ford needs home. Serizawa explains that Godzilla is hunting, not simply destroying everything. Stenz listens, since humanity's firepower has achieved almost nothing. Serizawa suspects the Muto signal was calling something else entirely. That possibility sends command searching urgently for the second spore. Graham follows the clue, and Nevada suddenly becomes their priority. The pattern fits too neatly. One MUTO is answering another. Orders change quickly as the military races toward Yucca Mountain. A convoy tears across Nevada, hoping they are not late. Inside Yucca Mountain, the silence says they already are. Stored nuclear material has been breached by something frighteningly hungry. Teams search deeper, following destruction instead of finding the creature. Then daylight reveals a massive escape route blasted through rock. Beyond that opening sits Las Vegas, directly in its path. Vegas crowds notice the warning just as danger reaches them. Then the female Muto crashes through, and the strip darkens. Firefighters enter ruined buildings while the city absorbs the impossible. Whole blocks left shredded, proving this second Muto is much larger. Back at command, Serizawa and Graham compare both monsters' movements. Their routes converge, turning scattered attacks into one terrifying rendezvous. Serizawa realizes those strange signals were a mating call all along. Graham confirms the larger Nevada Muto is almost certainly female, meaning San Francisco may soon host history's worst possible date. Stenz answers with mankind's favorite solution: bring out the nukes. The plan sounds simple. Use a warhead as irresistible monster bait. Serizawa warns nuclear weapons already failed against Godzilla once before. Military planners continue anyway, betting a stronger blast can work. Stens chooses action instead of trusting nature to restore balance. Serizawa makes one final appeal before the order becomes irreversible. He asks Stens to remember what nuclear fire truly costs. His father's Hiroshima watch makes that warning painfully personal. The operation launches, carrying soldiers and warheads toward the monsters. Ford rides along, because bomb disposal suddenly offers perfect timing. The convoy reaches a small town already swallowed by mobilization. Military trucks fill the streets while civilians brace for worse. Ford steps out, searching desperately for some way to reach out. Home feels close enough to imagine, but danger feels closer. He slips inside a local shop while the convoy pauses. For one quiet moment, the war narrows to one worried husband. Ford asks for a phone, desperate to reach his family. A stranger helps, giving him the connection he badly needs. Nearby coverage shows the female Muto steadily tearing westward. At the hospital, Ul sees the same nightmare approaching home. Then Ford finally gets through, and neither wastes the moment. Ul hears his voice, relief immediately colliding with fresh fear. Ford warns her to take Sam and leave San Francisco. She tries staying calm, but his urgency tells her everything. Ford promises he is coming, though neither can guarantee anything. The call ends, leaving Ul terrified and suddenly very alone. Ford rejoins the troops as the operation shifts toward rail. Television maps now show danger closing rapidly around San Francisco. Highways clog instantly as civilians flee the approaching monster corridor. From command, Stens watches evacuation become another desperate countdown. He needs the bait moving before both the Mutos reach California. Serizawa still believes Godzilla, not a bomb, is their answer. But the military trusts a timer more than ancient instinct, so every available unit commits to delivering the warhead west. Failure now means monsters, civilians, and nuclear fire colliding together. Night falls as the arsenal train enters dangerous mountain country. Ford joins the ground detail escorting the nuclear warheads west. Their escort stays grounded since the Muto fries aircraft electronics. Distant fires mark the female's path straight across the mountains. The train carries warheads modified to survive another EMP burst. Then it stops before a tunnel as communications suddenly fail. Static fills the radios, and Ford recognizes the warning immediately. The lights die too, confirming the female Muto is nearby. Ford replaces a fuse while everyone waits for another roar. Because he survived Hawaii, Ford gets volunteered for reconnaissance duty. He takes another soldier and heads into the black tunnel. Their flashlights cut forward while every shadow suddenly looks enormous. They emerge onto a trestle bridge swallowed by cold mist. Burning wreckage below proves destruction has already passed through here. Ford checks the rails, hoping the bridge itself remains intact. For one brief second, the route looks completely clear. But the bridge feels wrong, and both soldiers slow down. A strange shape below turns their cautious walk into crawling. Then the female Muto rises beneath them, impossibly close. Ford drops flat as the monster searches the bridge above. He stays motionless, knowing one nervous movement could end everything. Her glowing sensors sweep past, hunting for any trace of electricity. The giant female straddles the bridge directly over Ford's head. She starts away until the approaching train shakes the steel. The train charges into view, and the Muto attacks instantly. Ford jumps as wrecked cars and warheads crash into water. Ford sinks beneath the wreckage, barely surviving the Muto's assault. He surfaces in darkness as the ruined train vanishes behind. By nightfall, rescuers finally reach the shattered tracks and survivors. Meanwhile, commanders track Godzilla heading relentlessly towards San Francisco. Morning reveals the devastation, with wildlife circling the ruined line. Ford crawls through wreckage, battered, exhausted, yet somehow alive. Around him, mangled rail cars reveal the Muto's terrifying destruction. Rescuers search the debris, pulling survivors from the broken railway. Ford is finally found and rushed toward emergency medical care. Inside San Francisco, hospitals are already overwhelmed by evacuations. Ul learns patients and children must evacuate across the bridges. She hesitates, still hoping Ford can somehow reach them soon. Outside, soldiers drive the evacuation forward as panic steadily grows. Ford, battered but conscious, is flown toward the same emergency. Meanwhile, the remaining nuclear warhead is moved toward the coast. Unable to wait longer, Ul sends Sam aboard an evacuation bus. Laura agrees to watch Sam while Ul remains behind working. Ul kisses her son goodbye, hiding the fear inside her. As his bus pulls away, she can only watch helplessly. Sam's convoy heads toward the bridge, straight into growing danger. Ford arrives by helicopter, still desperate to reach his family. Medics steady him, but Ford refuses to remain safely behind. Inside command, every display shows monsters converging on San Francisco. The military prepares its nuclear bait as the crisis deepens. Meanwhile, the Golden Gate becomes the civilians' narrow escape route. Police seal nearby roads as traffic jams around the bridge. Sam waits beside Laura, unaware the monster is approaching rapidly. Armored units line the roadway, preparing for something truly enormous. The bridge braces for impact while evacuation buses crawl forward. Inside one bus, frightened children sense something is horribly wrong. Still, the convoy inches onward, with nowhere safer to turn. Then birds scatter above the bay, silently announcing Godzilla's arrival. Soldiers raise their weapons as the water violently begins erupting. Godzilla rises beside the bridge, dwarfing every defense around him. For one stunned heartbeat, even the soldiers forget to fire. His enormous body blocks the route while buses remain trapped. Seeing the nightmare ahead, the driver slams the accelerator down. Military guns erupt anyway, transforming the bridge into lethal crossfire. Explosions hammer Godzilla, while the bridge absorbs brutal punishment too. A blast rocks the bus, sending terror through every seat. Troops and civilians scatter as smoke and twisted steel spread. Somehow, Sam's bus punches through the chaos before everything collapses. Godzilla continues through the bay as warships nervously surround him. Elsewhere, soldiers struggle to keep the precious warhead controlled. Because Muto pulses disable electronics, they activate its analog timer. Ford watches closely, knowing one mistake could destroy the city. Back downtown, Al realizes the danger has followed everyone home. Another violent impact tears through the city before she reacts. Fighter jets race overhead, chasing a threat barely understood. The military convoy braces as the Muto closes on the bomb. People near the waterfront look upward, and panic instantly spreads. The enormous Muto strides through traffic, making cars look tiny. Its attack reaches the nuclear bait, exactly as everyone feared. The creature carries the warhead deeper into downtown San Francisco. Its towering limbs tear past buildings as the city empties. Nothing slows the creature as it advances straight toward Chinatown. There, another Muto waits beside their stolen nuclear prize. The pair gathers around it while smoke buries surrounding streets. Ford learns Sam reached shelter, while El remains unaccounted for. There is no time to celebrate, downtown remains dangerously exposed. A strike team receives orders concerning the warhead trapped downtown. Ford joins them because his bomb expertise is urgently needed. Electronic systems are useless inside the Muto's powerful blackout zone. That leaves one brutal option, entering the city from above. If they survive the jump, they must locate the nest. If disarming fails, they must carry the warhead offshore themselves. An extraction plan is missing, because apparently optimism costs extra. Ford accepts anyway, with El still trapped somewhere downtown. Outside, Serizawa watches the city while soldiers prepare their mission. Stens wonders whether Godzilla can defeat both Mutios alone. Serizawa calmly argues that nature must settle this battle itself. From downtown towers, civilians watch monsters reduce streets to rubble. El sees the battle erupt nearby and races toward shelter. She moves underground with the crowd, still separated from Sam. Above them, Godzilla and the Mutios finally clash in earnest. Meanwhile, Ford's Halo team boards a dark military transport plane. Each soldier checks his equipment, knowing landing may be worse. Ford studies a family photograph, remembering exactly why he came. The cargo ramp opens, revealing the burning city far below. Oxygen masks lock into place as everyone prepares for freefall. Under red lights, Ford steadies himself and approaches the void. San Francisco glows below, already half swallowed by thick smoke. One by one, the soldiers leap into the blackened sky. Red flares streak downward, making their descent look almost apocalyptic. Below them, fires reveal the monster battle consuming downtown. Ford drops toward the ruins while Godzilla fights beneath clouds. Parachutes slice through darkness as debris and gunfire rise below. The team disappears into smoke, each jumper seeking safe ground. Ford lands amid wreckage, alive but separated from his team. He finds surviving soldiers and immediately resumes searching for the bomb. Their small group moves through darkness while monsters thunder nearby. A detector finally catches the warhead signal somewhere ahead. They follow it through streets almost erased by destruction. Flashlights sweep the debris while every shadow feels dangerously alive. Nearby civilians hide silently, trapped beneath a gigantic monster battle. Through the wreckage, Ford catches glimpses of the colossal fight. He forces his attention back onto the mission and advances. Then Godzilla crashes into view, battling a Muto near Chinatown. Even battered, Godzilla keeps advancing with terrifying, relentless patience. The Muto attacks viciously, keeping the enormous predator fully occupied. That distraction gives Ford's team a narrow path toward their objective. Across the ruined skyline, the monsters continue tearing at each other. The soldiers climb through rubble, tracking the signal deeper downtown. Ford leads them onward, as the warhead signal grows stronger. They squeeze through a dark passage beneath the wrecked buildings. Ford spots the route ahead and motions everyone to follow. Chinese lanterns glow eerily as the team enters ruined Chinatown. Ford checks the signal again, guiding everyone through the darkness. They descend through broken floors, closing rapidly on the warhead. Outside, monster impacts shake the ruins while they keep moving. Through shattered walls, Godzilla and the Muto continue their brutal fight. Elsewhere, El shelters with civilians while the city shakes violently. From cover, terrified survivors glimpse monsters battling beyond shattered windows. Entire blocks burn while the creatures continue smashing through downtown. Godzilla suffers another savage hit, yet stubbornly refuses to fall. Ford reaches the bomb and attempts opening its sealed timer. Unable to access it, the team decides to haul it away. As the others move, Ford notices rows of glowing Muto eggs. He pauses, realizing the vulnerable nest offers another possible weapon. Outside, Godzilla keeps fighting, buying Ford a few precious seconds. A Muto strikes back, keeping the monsters locked in combat. The team pushes the warhead onward while Ford remains behind. Ford finds fuel beside the eggs and prepares to destroy them. He ignites the nest, and Chinatown erupts as flames spread. Ford stands amid flames as the enraged female Muto returns. The furious female Muto closes in, ready to finish Ford. She prowls through the burning nest while Ford lies helpless. Ford crawls through the wreckage, desperately stealing a few seconds. He looks up in horror, certain his luck has expired. Then blue light rises behind her. Godzilla has joined the argument. Godzilla unleashes atomic breath, violently blasting the female aside. Given that miraculous opening, Ford somehow drags himself upright. But the male Muto swoops back, spoiling Godzilla's celebration. Ford keeps moving while the monsters restart their brutal brawl. Nearby, soldiers scramble aboard, desperate to move the warhead. Overhead, the male circles, keeping Godzilla trapped in combat. Below, the bomb team rushes aboard before everything collapses. One soldier watches the skyline as destruction closes around them. The male dives again, forcing Godzilla into another savage clash. Godzilla tracks the flyer, patiently waiting for one clean opening. The creatures collide again, shaking the ruined city around them. Godzilla withstands the assault and prepares a monstrous counterattack. His tail sends the male Muto crashing into collapsing steel. With the male finally down, Ford pushes toward the boat. Along the way, Ford finds Godzilla battered beside the ruins. For one strange moment, Soldier and Titan silently stare back. Ford finally moves on, because that ticking bomb will not. He reaches the harbor, where the warhead still needs moving. Ford races along the pier as his escape route narrows. Behind him, the female Muto returns with spectacularly awful timing. She tears through the soldiers, leaving Ford suddenly alone. Ford scrambles aboard and struggles to get the boat moving. The vessel finally breaks free, carrying the nuclear threat seaward. Inside, battered Ford can barely keep his eyes open. Then a fresh shadow announces that the nightmare has returned. Sure enough, the female Muto corners Ford beside the boat. Before she strikes, Godzilla suddenly grabs her from behind. He forces her jaws open and fires atomic breath inside. The female goes limp, finally ending the Muto nightmare. Ford keeps moving while a victorious Godzilla towers nearby. But victory costs dearly, and Godzilla staggers through the harbor. Moments later, the exhausted Titan collapses like a fallen skyscraper. Meanwhile, Ford's boat carries the warhead farther toward open water. Ford lies exhausted inside while the countdown keeps mercilessly running. His strength disappears quickly, but the bomb remains stubbornly awake. Ford can only wait as the distant city grows smaller. Then a rescue helicopter finds him and drops a lifeline. A crewman reaches Ford and pulls him away from danger. Ford rises toward safety just before the countdown finally ends. The nuclear blast turns everything white, but San Francisco survives. Morning reveals a shattered city, with Godzilla buried among rubble. The motionless Titan appears dead after winning an impossible battle. At the stadium, Ford finally finds young Sam safe. Together they scan the crowd, desperately searching for Elle. Across the ruins, rescuers keep digging through unimaginable destruction. Ford refuses to relax until one familiar face appears. Sam stays close while the battered city counts survivors. In the ruins, Serizawa watches Godzilla with quiet disbelief. Even Serizawa cannot yet tell whether the giant survived. Back inside, Ford suddenly spots Elle across the crowded stadium. Elle sees them too and races straight through the shelter. She reaches Sam first, crushing him in a relieved embrace. Then Ford and Elle reunite, battered but finally together again. Suddenly, the crowd gasps as something enormous begins moving. Outside, Godzilla rises from the rubble, definitely not dead. Serizawa watches in awe as the city's unlikely savior stands. Godzilla gives San Francisco one final roar before heading home. Then the king enters the ocean, disappearing beneath the waves.